And for the first time, we are hearing the officer's explanation for the shooting that took the life of Philando Castile in Minnesota last week. In addition to claiming that Castile resembled a robbery suspect, the attorney for Officer Geronimo Yanez told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, quote, "This has nothing to do with race and everything to do with the presence of a gun. Deadly force would not have been used if not for the presence of a gun." But Castile's girlfriend went on ABC's Good Morning America today and said that is not what happened.
Did the gun ever come out?
No, absolutely not. He was never even asked, was he armed or anything. We told him. He told him.
I'm joined now by attorney and radio host Mo Ivory in Washington, D.C. Also with me, Stephen Rogers, a retired New Jersey police officer who also served with the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. Welcome to you both. Stephen, I want to turn to you first. In Minnesota, if Philando Castile was a potential suspect for a robbery, did the officer use the right protocol when approaching the car?
Yes, he did. He did approach the vehicle, and apparently, I believe he had information that this could have been an armed robbery suspect. So he approached the vehicle. But here's where the problem stems from. You know, you have a right to carry a weapon in that state, but you have to use common sense. You don't have a weapon that could be visible if it was in fact visible, where the officer is going to react. Stephanie, we don't know the facts, and this is what's really getting to me. The governor of that state, Mark Dayton, came out and made this a racial issue. He stated that if the passenger was white, this would have never happened. That's ridiculous. It's sad because it adds fuel to the fires of racism around this country. I would say this: if that officer is guilty, if he is guilty of not following procedures, then he should be dealt with according to law. But we don't know the facts yet.
Mo, are we jumping to conclusions here? Are we giving this officer the right to tell his story, or have we already made a decision?
Listen, first of all, I want to say that what the last guest just said is exactly the reason why we have a problem in our society with police violence, because immediately he says it's not a racial issue. Let's start from the beginning. He pulled him over because he looked like a robbery suspect. That means he was black and male. It doesn't mean he actually looked like the person. He's just black and male. That's the first thing.
Mo,
hold on.
Hold on. May I? Aren't we jumping to a conclusion there? If the suspect was black and male, we don't know what Officer Geronimo also thought.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that we have a systemic problem of identifying anybody that is a suspect when they are black as anybody black. So that is a problem, and we cannot ignore that is a problem. Number two, he was not following protocol. If he thought that he was pulling somebody over for a felony, the proper protocol would have been to ask the person to get out of the car, to lay them on the ground, to secure them, and then to go ahead and search them for a weapon.
Hold on, Stephen, is that true? What would the proper protocol have been had the officer believed he was an armed robbery suspect?
Put your hands on the dashboard or the steering wheel. You're not going to have somebody give you more movement by asking them to step out of the car. And for you to say that what I'm saying here is part of the problem, that's really ridiculous.
It is part of the problem.
No, it's not part of the problem. What's part of the problem is that you are trying to get into the mind of that police officer.
No.
I have approached vehicles where I was scared to death. And if I saw someone with a gun there, whether they're black or they're white or whatever, I see the gun, not the color.
All right, well,
okay, I think that is a beautiful argument for you to make that does not exist right now in our society. And that is a complete ignoring of the problem and the epidemic that we have. Listen, if we are ever going to start to fix this problem and take protesting to the next level, we have got to stop talking about things not in a reality sense. What you are saying is some kumbaya argument about, oh, officers don't look at race. It is not true,
and it is the
reason why we cannot fix this problem.
All right, well, surely this isn't a kumbaya time in this country, but I want to share some comments former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, shared over the weekend on Face the Nation regarding his views on the Black Lives Matter movement. Take a look.
When you say Black Lives Matter, that's inherently racist.
Well, I think their
Black
argument
lives matter, white lives matter, Asian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter. That's anti-American and it's racist.
Stephen. What is your take there?
Look, all lives matter, okay? I wouldn't stereotype everyone in one basket, just like I don't want police officers stereotyped. But the evidence is clear that what the mayor's saying has some truth to it. Police officers are being spit on, urine's being thrown at them, Molotov cocktails are being thrown at them, bricks are being thrown on their heads. You know what's happening here? You had a guest prior who blamed the Baton Rouge police for what's going on in Baton Rouge. If you break the law, you get arrested. It's as simple as that.
Is it fair to say that any of this is simple?
Well,
Absolutely.
it's simple in the respect that if you break the law, you get arrested. Now, what we have to do is find solutions. We have to come together. I've said over and over again, community policing is part of the solution. We have to get the clergy involved. All levels of people have to start listening to each other.
And one of those organizations that's representing a minority group is Black Lives Matter. Mo, do you want to comment on Rudy Giuliani's thoughts calling Black Lives Matter a racist movement?
Absolutely. First, I want to say that you don't just get arrested if you break the law. You get arrested even if you haven't broken the law. And we know that to be a case. You get killed if you haven't even broken the law. But on Rudy Giuliani, I think it was very careless. I think it was very irresponsible for a former elected official to speak in that manner, because it is so ridiculous to say that Black Lives Matter isn't addressing a specific problem that we have in this nation. The minute that you say all lives matter, blue lives matter, you take away and you disengage yourself from the problem that exists specific to black people and police violence. That is why Black Lives Matter came to be in the first place. It is a movement. It is not a particular group.
We found agreement on something.
It is a movement. And so it is very irresponsible for him to say that it is racist to care about a group of people that are being subjected to warlike activity in their own country, because black people are also Americans who need to be protected by the police in their own communities and not gunned down constantly.
We found agreement on one thing. You said that even those who don't break the law get killed. 5 police officers in Dallas got killed. They weren't breaking the law.
And
they
500,
were enforcing
and so
the law.
far over 500 people who have been killed by police officers just this year so far in 2016. Okay, and I rest mine.
All right, clearly you have very different views. I want to show some images this weekend. We're going to show one now of Minnesota. And I want to get your take, both of you, because as we try to make this a black and white issue, it's clearly gray. So Mo, as you see these images, what do you see?
I see a lot. I see people trying to protest. I see a lot of times with these protests, in some cities they have no problems at all having peaceful protests. And when you see that, you see the police holding back. You don't see military-style gear everywhere, and they allow people to protest for the rights that they have to do that. When you look at these kind of things, you see over-policing again. You see riot gear again. You see police not engaging in a manner that would cause calm, but instead stirring up the activity, throwing people on the ground. It's unnecessary.
If the police officers had been wearing riot gear in Dallas, would they be alive today? That's an open carry state where it's very hard to know who's the good guy and the bad guy. The chief of police in Dallas said it himself.
Stephanie, you're right. Now, she saw a lot in that video. You know what I see? Nothing that I could make a judgment on. What's happening is we're looking at these videos going on social media, making all sorts of outlandish judgments without getting the facts. The fact
Don't say outlandish judgments. Maybe they're giving people the chance to see.
Because you don't see the whole picture, Stephanie. You don't see the whole. That's why I like body cameras. You know, when you have body cameras on police officers, you're going to get the whole picture. Look what happened in Ferguson. Look what happened in, excuse me.
That becomes dislodged.
Look what happened in Ferguson. Look what happened in Baltimore. Not guilty. Not guilty.
But had we not had the iPhone video in Baton Rouge, those body cams fell off.
Exactly.
Well, absolutely. All right. But that's part of the picture. We need to see the whole picture.
All right. Thank you both. We have to leave it there. Clearly a heated discussion. Mo Ivory joining us from D.C.